Hi guys, here I am. It's a wonderful day, sunny, cool, no wind. Perfect day to sight in our rifles. Hunting season starts very soon. And hunting season starts in about 3 weeks. Now we know that our rifles are in good shape. I know mine is anyway. I took a deer last year. But anyway, and the other guys didn't shoot, so they don't know, but they should be in good shape. However, it's always a smart idea, even for a very experienced hunter, to sight in his rifle. 2 reasons. Number one, it's important to have confidence in your rifle. There's no point going out there hunting a deer and you're not sure if your rifle shoots straight. You're not going to feel good about it and everything else. And number two, it eliminates a lot of arguments, okay, afterwards. If you missed a shot or whatever, or a poor shot, or you made a poor shot, then it eliminates a lot of arguments. Everybody knows that your rifle is shooting straight. So it must have been the hunter, right? Anyway, it's always a good idea to sight the rifles in. Now, what I wanted to do with you is just take a minute and tell you how we sight our rifles in before hunting season. Now, this is not a gunsmith's method. A gunsmith would clean and take the scope off and remount the scope and bore sight and all those kinds of things and eventually get the gun shooting fairly straight. You still need to go to the field to sight it in accurately and perfectly. And some of the things you would do in that case are similar to what we do. But this is just a real simple, let's make sure our guns are shooting straight deer, which is a way of saying, hey, you want to go back and make some noise. Same thing. But at the same time, we are making sure that our guns are accurate. And what I've done is I've set up way down there. Can you zoom down there, Diana? Can you zoom in on that target way down there? Is that possible? A little bit? And what have I done? I've set up a target. Now, I know some guys, and this would take them a day and $200 to set up a target, because I have to have a fancy target. Okay, we got a stick in the ground, and I screwed on an old piece of wood that they don't want anymore, and I stapled on 2 targets. They are proper sight-in targets, which simply means that they're bright orange and they have 1-inch squares on them. That's all that means. You don't even need that. Heck, you can have a piece of white wood with a black circle with a magic marker on it. Put a couple of rings around it and a crisscross if you want. That's up to you. It doesn't really matter as long as you have one thing to aim at, so you know what you were aiming at when you shot. I have this set up in such a way that I can take off the front board off of the buggy and lay it down on the back of the buggy, and then I can set the rifles. I happen to use a proper stand or a bench rest stand to hold the rifle, but you can just use a pillow and roll up your coat. If you have proper, that's fine, whatever you want to do. We keep it nice and simple. That way, not only does it not cost money, but it's so quick and easy to do, we can just zip out and do it. Have a bit of fun and carry on working. Target is down there, and I've measured off exactly 50 yards and 100 yards. Most of our shots at 150 yards, 100 to 150, maybe 200. This is perfect. So we got roughly 50 yards to that target. And now I have the rifle set up on a good solid base, and I do have it in a bench rest stand, which is a little unfair because you don't have this kind of a setup when you're sitting in your tree stand or in your chair stand or you're blind. You don't have this kind of a setup, but that's your problem. You've got to get a solid base, the best possible base you can when you're hunting. For sighting in, I use this. It eliminates any squiggle movement, breathing movements, anything else, so you know that the rifle is shooting straight. Hunter, another question. I've been hunting long enough to know about that. Very long time. I've been hunting 60 years, more, 70 years almost, and all over the world, everywhere from Texas to Alaska, Hawaii, Africa, several animals in the record book. A whole lot of fun I've had. So, you know, I don't want to call myself an expert, but I've shot a few guns and a few animals. So here we are, all set up. Now I'm going to use my rifle first of all, show you what we do. Target's down there. I'm going to shoot the left-hand target, and I have the clip in there. I'm going to shoot one shot, just one shot. That's it. And I'm going to put the crosshairs right on the center, dead center of the target. I know it's 50 yards, and the bullet at that particular point is still climbing. So, but I'm going to try it at 50 yards. Number one, to see if it hits paper, and number two, to see how close it is. Here we go. Cover your ears. Okay, I'll meet you down at the target. First two shots, I took a shot, Dana took a shot, and I'm going to get Kevin to post the images. Were really good, 50 yards, and the impact, the hole in the target is about an inch to an inch and a half above center. We were aiming for center, and in both cases, very slightly to the left of center. I don't know if that's an issue or not. We're going to find out right now, but as far as height is concerned, it's darn near perfect. At 50 yards, the bullet is still climbing slightly, and it continues to climb. Just about 100 yards or so, and it reaches its peak, its highest for this particular setup anyway, and these cartridges, this trajectory, doesn't apply to everything, don't give me a hard time, but for these particular cartridges, 243 and 270, that's about right. Bottom line is this: it's an inch and a half high at 50, it should be a couple of inches high at 100, and then back down to about an inch high at 200, which means that any shot between 50 yards or less and 200 yards is going to be within 2 inches of where you're aiming. Now, a deer has roughly a 10, 15, maybe a 20-inch target area. Let's call it a 1 foot square target area. 1 foot square. So, if the bullet is going to be within a couple of inches of dead center, that deer is going to be dead. Depending on the hunter, of course. And that's the way you want to have it for our type of hunting. I've hunted in Montana and Wyoming, where the shots are sometimes, well, in one case, 425 yards. Different story entirely. Different story. At 425 yards with this setup, the bullet would be in the ground before it ever reached the animal. It's another story. You change it. But for our hunting here, typically 50 to 150, maybe 200 yards, this is perfect. Just hold the scope dead on where you want to hit the animal, squeeze the trigger, and it'll be within an inch or two of where you're aiming, depending on the hunter. Okay. I'm going to take my second shot. This one's at 100 yards. Let me see how this fares. I think that's a good shot. Most hunters that have hunted for a while will tell you that they usually know if it's a good shot or not. You'll often know. More commonly, you'll know if it's not a good shot. But I think it was a good shot. A couple of reasons. I had the crosshairs where I wanted them. And secondly, I was surprised when the gun went off. I was shocked. I didn't know that it was going to go off. Yes, I was squeezing, and the trigger was moving, I guess, and all of a sudden it went off. That's what you want. Okay? If you know you're squeezing, and now it's going to go, chances are it's not going to be a great shot. The gun should go off unexpectedly. Not unexpectedly, meaning you didn't want it to go off, but you shouldn't know exactly when it's going off. If you've got a good rifle and a good trigger, and then you squeeze gently, holding it on target, and squeeze, and it goes off. Anyway, let's go and take a look and see how that is. Let me put this on safe, point the muzzle away from the target area, and we'll go down there and see how that second shot was. And we just finished our shots, one each, at 100 yards. You may recall from the earlier, we shot 50 yards right here, an inch and a half high. This was at 100 yards, so now it's 2 inches high, which is perfect in my books, and it happens to be dead center, right? How did Diana do? Oh, geez. 2 inches high, dead center. I love you, baby. I guess we're going to get some venison this year, huh? Okay, now here's what I do. I always like to do a 3-shot group. Couple of reasons. First of all, the barrel changes. It gets hot. Right now we're taking one shot and there's 20 minutes between, it cools off. I'm going to take 3 shots and see what happens. Sometimes what will happen is your first shot, second shot, third shot. Sometimes it climbs a little bit. I want to see, just for fun. And secondly, hey, maybe this was a coincidence. Maybe we're not very good. Eh? Maybe the rifles are crap. None of that's likely, but it could be. So I don't want to waste targets. Haven't got the time to go all the way. So how do I know which are my shots? I didn't bring a magic marker with me, but all around this field, there's all kinds of things. They're called sticks. Little break off a 1-inch piece of stick and stick it in the hole. So there's my first 2 shots. So the next 3 holes will be my next 3 shots. It's really very simple. Again, you save money. It's simple and easy. Okay, so here we are back at 100 yards, and we've been pretty good. We had 2 shots, one at 50, one at 100, and they were both exactly where we wanted them. Dead center for the 100-yard shot, 2 inches high at 100 yards. Perfect. Anything within 200 yards of us this fall will be dead meat. which is the best kind of meat, by the way. Anyway, listen, now I'm just for fun, really more than anything. I'm going to make a 3-shot group and see how these shots group. Now I have a semi-automatic, so it's very easy for me. I'll just make 3 shots. I'm not going to bang, 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 because they won't be good, but I will do them quickly. Listen, here we go. There we go. Safety on, rifle down. Great, okay. We're gonna walk up and see how that 3-shot group worked, and that's it. That's all there is to it. If you can put a single shot and put it exactly where you want it to be, you're set for the hunting season. If you do a 3-shot group, we'll check that in just a minute, and they're all within 2-3 inches of each other at 100 yards. Let's go hunting. Okay, we'll go up and we'll get a picture of those shots for you in a minute. Hi guys, Alec, Peirce at the ranch. Here we are back in my favorite room. The fire is blazing. This is our family room, if you like, trophy room. It's great. It's 30 by 30, big, beautiful room with some of my animals. You've seen a couple. And here we are. I want to summarize quickly what we've done today. Remember, the premise for this whole video was simply to make sure that your rifle is shooting straight in preparation for hunting season in a couple of weeks. And we've done that. Now, there are many, many ifs in there. So if you live in the West, where you're shooting 250 to 300 yards minimum, we're using a 301 mag or whatever, or if you're shooting in Texas or wherever or in the mountains, in the Rocky Mountains. I hunted all those areas, and they're all different. The game is different. The terrain is different. The make, model of the rifle, the caliber, all different, and all those things affect what you do. But for here in southern Ontario and many places where I've hunted, where it's a mixture of farmland and bush, this is what we do. We shoot 50 to 200 yards, between 50 and 200 yards, roughly. And we're shooting the calibers. I'm shooting actually 243 semi-automatic. My wife shoots a 270. Very commonly we have 30-06, and that's about it. That's the range of calibers here. The rifle make and model doesn't matter too much at those ranges. So here's what we did. As you recall, we measured out 50 yards, and I had I took a shot number 1 at 50 yards. Okay, and that shot, let me take that little stick out of there that I put in earlier so you can see the shot better. I forgot about those little sticks. But anyway, the first shot, number 1, right here, is just over an inch high and almost dead center. And then we moved the target out to, we moved out to 100 yards, 50 yards, and then to 100 yards. And we took another single shot at 100 yards. And at 100 yards, the shot was just over 2 inches high and dead center. So we have all the confidence in the world now that if we hold that rifle on a good rest, we're not talking about freestanding, on a good rest, and we hold it on the animal, that we're going to take the animal. With this shot here at 25, this one at 100, we're confident that anywhere between 50 and 200 yards, but the crosshairs on the animal, you're going to take it cleanly. At 200 yards, it's getting close to the highest point of the trajectory of the bullet. It's going up about 100 yards, reaches the highest point, starts to fall, and at 200 yards is back down where it was at 25. Then it starts to fall off pretty rapidly, but that's what we do here. And it works really, really well. So 2 shots and I'm happy with the rifle. For fun, more than anything else, I decided to make a 3-shot group, which is right here. 1, 2, 3 holes right over here, 3-shot group. It's to the right a little bit. The height is still good. That's at 100 yards. It's to the right a little bit. A couple reasons for that. First of all, I didn't use the bench rest as perfectly as I did with these two, letting the rifle sit completely in the rest with no pressure at all from my hands. It wasn't really an offhand shot, but I was using more body English, if you like, on the rifle. Secondly, it's a semi-automatic, and I wanted to get the 3 shots off smoothly and cleanly, so there may have been a little bit of pull to the right. I will remember this when I'm out hunting, that if I'm going to be making my shots to be sure that I squeeze properly and not get it over there. But still, we're talking a full width there of 5 inches. deer has a 20-inch, 12 to 20-inch space, the deer is still going to be dead. So that's a good group, nice good group. You can get your group, and you can cover it with a silver dollar, and then that's a pretty good group for these calibers and so on. Anyway, that's what we did, and it worked really, really well. I hope there might be something in there that will help you a little bit to get your rifles ready for hunting season, and give you a couple of ideas. If you have any comments about what we do here versus what you do in your area, put them down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Okay, guys, good hunting. Talk to you soon. Alec Peirce at the ranch.